Hi, I'm Will.
I'm Heather.
And welcome to the Movie Files. Alright, so we just got back from seeing God's Not Dead 2. God's Not Dead 2 is the sequel, obviously, to God's Not Dead. It's a Christian propaganda movie, whereas the last time it was a kid in a college setting trying to prove the existence of God. This time it's a teacher who actually gets sued and has to go to court and is in court forced to try to prove the existence of God, or at least the existence of Jesus Christ. What did you think of the movie?
I liked it. It had Clarissa in it.
It does have Melissa Joan Hart. Some
Yeah.
people know her as Clarissa, who explained it all, and other people will know her as Sabrina, the Teenage Witch. But go ahead.
I think there were some other people in there that I recognized, but I'm not positive about that, so if so, that's cool.
It does have Robin Givens in it, who many people know as Mike Tyson's ex-wife.
Okay, I knew I recognized her. And then the lawyer looks like Kelly Ripa's husband, but I don't know if that's him. And one of her little friends looks like the Doug Hunter guy's daughter from Dancing with the Stars. I don't know her name. I recognized it at the end, so that's cool. Sometimes it seemed to be a little preachy. Sometimes it would explain it. They're definitely trying to use that for everything and explain everything away. Michael Tate was in it.
Yes, the Newsboys do put in an appearance. They put in an appearance in the last movie, but this time they actually have lines. Well, at least Michael Tate has lines.
Yeah,
the rest
I'm
of
not
the
sure if the
Newsboys
other
just
guys
hang out.
do or not, but Michael Tate does talk. But yeah, so there's a few stars and singers and things in it, which is kind of normal for a church type movie. But yeah, not bad. I could see where somebody that's not a churchgoer would be against it, but I can see where others would like it, so back and forth.
Well, I don't think there's any reason for people who aren't churchgoers to be against it. I think a lot of times, and especially with the YouTube atheist, I mentioned this when we did our review for, what was that last movie?
I don't know.
Miracles from Heaven. A lot of atheists, YouTubers, will try to tear this movie down, try to make it out to be, just a horrible movie because maybe the logic is flawed, or maybe to them the logic is flawed. And I don't think as film critics that they're doing a service to the film or to the craft of film criticism, okay? If it's a bad movie, then by all means say it's a bad movie and say why you feel that it's a bad movie. But a lot of times I feel that some people are unable to separate themselves from their religious views in order to objectively and impartially evaluate a movie. You get that a lot here on YouTube and even in the mainstream media. And I think that's a shame because sometimes these movies are very good even if you don't agree with their message. This movie starts out extremely boring. The first act of this movie had me extremely bored. Like, I had tears in my eyes because of how boring this movie was. The first God's Not Dead was structurally a better film. It didn't just focus on Kevin Sorbo and Kevin Sorbo was the professor of the college class, and the student who were debating. It had a myriad of characters. It had, if you remember, it had Dean Cain, and he was the jerk brother. of the reporter who had cancer, who's back in this one. I think that's what, or maybe he was I don't know. Dean Cain was a jerk in the first one. I remember that much. But it had a bunch of different characters, but it shifted naturally from all of them, and by the end, you realize how they're all connected. That's good storytelling. This one, a lot of the times, it just seemed like the different characters and the different things that were going on took away from Melissa Joan Hart's story. And at the end, they don't all come together. At the end, you're still left going, well, all that other crap, though, that was just a distraction from the main story. So, obviously, that's a flaw. I also felt that one of the biggest flaws in the movie was in the way it presented the arguments, because the first thing they do when they get to court is the judge, played by Ernie Hudson, who was Winston Zeddemore in the Ghostbuster movies. He's been in a lot of other stuff. He reads the First Amendment to the United States Constitution, most specifically the part that deals with the freedom of religion. Because of the First Amendment and the way it's worded, okay, Melissa Joan Hart's transgression, according to the movie, the reason why the atheist parents of one of her students was suing her is because she happened to mention her faith while comforting this student who was having a really bad time dealing with the death of her brother, and came to this teacher not for instruction, not for teaching, but for emotional comfort. And she didn't do anything wrong. Melissa Joan Hart did not do anything wrong. A teacher at a public school is under no obligation to leave their faith at the door when they come into the school. That is not what the separation of church and state is. What the separation of church and state actually is basically saying that the school can't force the teacher to leave her faith at the door. And then again, the student brought up words that were words of Jesus that were quoted or paraphrased by Martin Luther King Jr. in history class. And she basically asked if the two were saying the same thing. She asked a history question in history class. I don't see a problem there. But these movies, God's Not Dead one did it, and this one does it, and a lot of these faith movies do it. They get into this corner where they feel that their job is to prove that God exists. That is not your job. Your job is to tell a story. You are a movie, okay? And in this story, the proper argument is not we have all this proof that God exists. The argument is it's none of your business. Like, that's literally the argument. The argument is I don't have to prove anything to you. That is the argument. I see this all the time on the internet, atheists arguing Christians, and I can step outside the box and I can see the flawed logic on both sides, because they're both trying to prove something that neither one of them can prove. You know, the atheist is trying to prove that there is no God, and the religious people are trying to prove that there is a God, and neither one of them can succeed at that task. Okay? The argument, when the atheists come to you and they say there is no God, blah, 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 then you say, okay, I don't have to prove anything to you. That's the argument. I don't have to prove anything to you. If I'm not trying to convert you, if I'm not trying to convince you that God is real, then I don't have to prove anything to you. It's when you do start trying to convince other people that you're right and that there is a God, that's when you fall into the proof trap. And this movie very well walked into that trap, and I feel that it brought the quality of the film down a little bit. Now, another thing that the atheists will try to do is convince you that atheists do not want to take away your religion. That this is a completely fabricated and unrealistic story because no teacher, nobody will ever, be sued just because they happen to believe, or just because they happen to read the Bible, or just because they happen to wear a t-shirt that says, something religious to school. In the credits of this movie, they cite numerous court cases where something like this has happened. And I didn't get to see all of them because there are a lot. I really wish that I could find a list, and maybe I will look and see if that list is online for my review on TheBlaze. But from what I saw, most of the dates of those court cases were in the last 5 years. This is not something that happened a long time ago and doesn't happen anymore. These are court cases that are still going on. People are still being forced to prove their faith, and that right there is a violation of the United States Constitution. I don't have to prove anything to you. If you're watching this and you're a Christian and you're a believer, or you're a Muslim, or you're a Buddhist, or you're anything, or you're an atheist, okay? Repeat after me. I do not have to prove anything to you. That's the only argument. No, that's it. Done. That's it. Stop trying to prove things you can't prove, because you only make yourself look dumb. And you only make everybody that believes what you believe look dumb. Okay? But again, this isn't a lecture on religion or the Constitution. This is a movie review. Overall, the stuff in the courtroom was very enjoyable. It was interesting. It was, it was good legal drama. I love the TV show Boston Legal. This could have been an episode of that. I could definitely have seen Alan Shore arguing this case. Or even Denny Crane, because Denny Crane was a right-winger. But yeah, the courtroom stuff was really good. Anything else was a distraction, and the first act was really boring. Like, in the first God's Not Dead, it took literally like 10, maybe 15 minutes for them to get to the point. This one took the entire first act and maybe part of the second act to really get to the point. And then everything that was outside the courtroom was a distraction and didn't really have all that much to do with the film, the storyline. But overall, it was not terrible, but it was not great. What would you rate it out of 4?
Maybe a 2.
I would definitely give it a 2. It was definitely a 50% right down the middle. It was meh. It was definitely meh.
Yeah, and a lot of that's because Clarissa was the star. So, yeah.
Oh, a lot of the good was because?
Yeah, like, a lot of the reason why it's like, I'll give it a 2 is because it was Clarissa. So you're like, gotta be nice to Clarissa. But, yeah, it was pretty boring. Yeah, it got better at the end. They made a big deal about the girl with the colorful hair, and I didn't really find it to be a big deal about her. And
well, yeah, and that was another thing, that this movie really tries to play up stereotypes. This movie is really big on perpetuating stereotypes, and a lot of them, because it's slanted to a faith point of view. That's why I said this was a propaganda film, because it tries to ignore all the flaws in the Christian side of the argument, and it tries to embellish the flaws of the atheist argument and make all the atheists look bad. And it's also very judgmental, because there is, like she said, the girl with the blue hair, and she's got just a blue stripe down her
sometimes
lip.
her lips are all blue, and then she'd have
But
red.
anyway, she's got crazy makeup. She's got crazy hair, and everybody just assumes, oh, she's going to be the deciding vote, that she's going to be against God because she has colorful hair. Now, things happen, and I think that was made as a statement against stereotypes, but it's still kind of really, you're going to go there? Look, it is okay for Christians to have tattoos. It is okay for Christians to have piercings. It is okay for Christians to have blue hair if they want to, okay? Just because you look at them and think they're a freak, that says more about you than it does about them.
Yeah. Got a cross around my neck, got my ears pierced, and I've got tattoos, so...
But yeah, so this was a very flawed movie, but it wasn't just completely terrible. If they'd have stayed on the courtroom stuff more, if they'd have had more to do with that, it would have been a much better movie. I just think the storyline was kind of all over the place. But
I like when they were at home, and when she would be praying and talking to her grandpa and stuff like that, though. I did like that, because then I could sit there and see myself, how she throws on herself on the bed and she's saying, please make it stop hurting, or something like that. Like, been there, done that. So, like, those type of scenes, those could be there because I could see myself there. But yeah, the boring stuff about the kid texting in class and things, or whatever it is he was doing with his phone, yeah, a lot of it, I mean, I guess it had to be there because that's where the events took place, but yeah, a lot of it was just dragging along.
Yeah, a lot of this movie just felt like filler. Like, we have a 45-minute movie that we need to stretch to an hour and a half. And that's always a mistake. That's always a mistake. If you don't have an hour and a half worth of movie, don't make a movie that's supposed to be an hour and a half. Make a 45-minute short film and take it to Christian film festivals. But yeah, so those are our thoughts. Let us know what yours are in the comments below. Thanks for watching and have a nice day. Bye. Hi everyone. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, subscribe. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and make sure you head on over to TheBlaze and check out my weekly column where I do movie reviews and general Hollywood industry commentary. You can find the links for all those things in the description below. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day.